Oh, yeah. They're calling the president's response to the coronavirus incompetent. They're calling it racist. They're even saying that the president referred to the coronavirus as a hoax. But I've noticed something. You see, I watch a lot of CNN and MSNBC hee-haw, so you don't have to. And I've noticed that many of the hosts and even some Democrats are beginning to praise the president's response to the coronavirus.
You cannot be serious!
First, the media.
The president was sober. He did what a president's supposed to do. He delivered the bad news.
You cannot belittle the coronavirus. It is growing, it is spreading, and the president is right. That travel restriction on China, as every public health official we've talked to said, bought the country time.
Even Democrat governors.
We had a private conversation, but he said, we're going to do the right thing, and you have my support, all of our support, logistically and otherwise. So before he made those statements publicly, I had a private conversation with him around 4:30 West Coast time, and he said everything that I could have hoped for.
I spoke to the president this morning about specific actions the president is going to take. I can tell you he is fully engaged on trying to help New York. He's being very creative and very energetic, and I thank him for his partnership.
There was something uplifting, Governor Kasich, yesterday, and that is when we heard Governor Cuomo of New York praise the Trump administration and say they're on this.
Would this be the same Governor Cuomo who, after one of the president's State of the Union speeches, said,
I think a lot of what he said was polarizing. The immigration policy is polarizing. To get up again and say, I'm going to build a great wall, a great southern wall, right? He said that in the campaign. Like China built a great wall. It was ridiculous as campaign rhetoric.
And after the president's coronavirus speech, even Ilhan Omar tossed a few rose petals. Finally, we should never let politics get in the way of good policy. This is a great start, and hope others will be part of a united front to push for good policies that will help us work through the economic anxiety the country is feeling right now. End of quote. And just like that, President Trump is no longer a tyrant, no longer a racist. Good Lord.
Love, exciting and new.
I haven't seen this kind of spirit since 9/11. Everybody's looking at each other as an ally, not a foe. People in America, you begin to see the best of the country. The young lady on the show before, delivering food to elderly people, allowing seniors to shop ahead of everybody else in grocery stores. It's going to take that kind of spirit to defeat this.
There's been a week of resolute action, tremendous relationships have developed with people that frankly didn't get along, people that didn't like each other. They're now working together and maybe even in some cases learning about each other and liking each other. It's a nice thing.
Now, of course, not everybody's on the same page. Joe Biden referred to the president's decision to shut down travel to and from China as hysterical xenophobia.
This is no time for Donald Trump's record of hysterical xenophobia, and fear-mongering.
Well, Dr. Fauci would beg to disagree.
Yeah, there's no question that if we had not done that in a timely way, there would have been many more travel-related cases from China. And as you know, the outbreak that we're having here in the country, this cases, originated from travel-related cases that came from China. And then we had the issue in Washington State and what we're seeing now in other states. So coming from outside within was the thing that started it. So I think doing that saved us a lot of concern and a lot of suffering, I think.
Now, Trump's critics, of course, say that he fumbled the initial response to the coronavirus. He dropped the ball. Here's Dr. Fauci speaking with Salem's Hugh Hewitt.
What happened on the testing development?
You know, it was a complicated series of multiple things that conflated that just, went the wrong way. One of them was a technical glitch that slowed things down in the beginning. Nobody's fault. There wasn't any bad guys there. It just happened. And then when the CDC realized and the FDA that both the system itself, as it was set up, which served certain circumstances very well, was not well suited to the kind of broad testing that we needed the private sector to get involved in. The regulatory constraints, which under certain circumstances are helpful and protective of the American people, were not suited to the emergence of this particular outbreak. So there was a confluence of a bunch of things. I believe now that the CDC and the FDA and the department, that we've got it right now, because we're handing much of it over to the private sector, the heavy hitter companies that do this for a living. And I think what you're going to be seeing looking forward is a major, major improvement in the availability of testing.
Was the glitch or anything about the production of the test President Trump's fault? Or actually, let me put it more broadly, would every president have run into the same problem?
Oh, absolutely. This has nothing to do with anybody's fault, certainly not the president's fault.
Let's not get too carried away. After all, the media are still the media, and Democrats are still Democrats, and many of them are saying that the president referred to the coronavirus as a hoax.
Well, I go back a few days when, Governor DeWine, a Republican, is someone whom I've watched him and talked to him frequently during all of this with the coronavirus. He has been as good or better than any governor in the country, anticipating. He shut the schools down when there were only three. I think there were only 3 people diagnosed at that point. He understood. He was looking at this and dealing with this when, for weeks, when Trump was still saying that it was a hoax put out by MSNBC and the media or the Democrats or whatever.
I think we already saw that. The government was slow to pick up on this. I don't want to get in a political discussion, but the leader of the country calling this a hoax for such a long period of time put us behind the 8 ball.
Just over 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump called the coronavirus a hoax. That was his word, hoax.
The president's handling this has been terrible. He spent weeks denying it. He called it a hoax, and there will be real consequences to that. People will suffer. People will die because he dismissed it as a hoax.
And this is the same administration that, as you reminded us, and other guests reminded us, that started with saying this was a hoax, then went to this is going to disappear.
It is absolutely needed. We are thankful to anyone who's pitching in on this effort, but we are nowhere near the beds, the capacity that we need in this country. And we're hearing it every step of the way from this administration. First, we were hearing it was a hoax.
Now, what did the man say? Here is what President Trump said in context.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We did one of the great jobs. You say, how's President Trump doing? They go, oh, not good, not good. They have no clue. They don't have any clue. They can't even count their votes in Iowa. They can't even count. No, they can't. They can't count their votes. One of my people came up to me and said, Mr. President, they tried to beat you on Russia, Russia, Russia. That didn't work out too well. They couldn't do it. They tried the impeachment hoax. That was on a perfect conversation. They tried anything. They tried it over and over. They've been doing it since you got in. It's all turning. They lost. It's all turning. Think of it. Think of it. And this is their new hoax. But, we did something that's been pretty amazing. We're 15 people in this massive country. And because of the fact that we went early, we could have had a lot more than that. We're doing great. Our country is doing so great. We are so unified. We are so unified.
Snopes.com, which is a fact-check website that many of us consider to be center-left, even they said the notion that President Trump referred to the coronavirus as a hoax was BS. Despite creating some confusion with his remarks, Trump did not call the coronavirus itself a hoax. End of quote. And the Washington Post, no friend of the president, after all, the Washington Post has never in its history endorsed a Republican president, gave the notion that the president referred to the coronavirus as a hoax 4 Pinocchios. That's as bad as you can get. The talking point that Trump called the coronavirus a hoax is still being spread far and wide, prompting the Washington Post fact checker to slap the ex-Veep with 4 Pinocchios for the ad. And Biden is the 3rd Democrat candidate to make this hoax claim after dropouts Mike Bloomberg and Pete Buttigieg. End of quote. By the way, more Americans feel confident in President Trump's ability to handle the coronavirus than they felt in the ability of past presidents to handle past pandemics. About 3 in 4 Americans say they are very or somewhat confident in the government's ability to handle an outbreak of the coronavirus. 77% feel confident about Trump's ability to deal with the coronavirus, as opposed to 64% about the Zika virus, 58% about the Ebola virus, 67% about the H1N1 swine flu virus, and 54% about the bird flu in 2005. Well, at least we're not hearing a whole lot of talk anymore about a second impeachment. And many of the same people that blasted Donald Trump for acting like a tyrant now feel that as far as the coronavirus is concerned, he should be acting like a tyrant. Can't win. And finally, the great Johnny Carson, always ahead of the curve.
Of all the shortages we have, there's a gasoline shortage. You know what else is disappearing from the supermarket shelves? Toilet paper. Ha, you can laugh now. There is an acute shortage of toilet paper in the good old United States. We got to quit writing on it. But I want to tell you, it is serious. I just saw a commercial where, I know it's coming, where Mrs. Olson comes in with a shopping bag, and the housewife says, forget the coffee, just give me the shopping bag. I want to tell you.
I'm Larry Elder. We'll get through this. We've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.